The abolition of corporal punishment in schools was driven by a combination of ethical, practical, and legal concerns. Unlike other disciplinary measures such as detention or suspension, physical punishment cannot be undone. If a teacher later discovers that a child was wrongly accused or that the circumstances were misunderstood, a detention can be cancelled or a suspension reversed. Physical punishment, however, has already been inflicted, and no apology can erase its effects. Another major concern is that children do not respond to physical punishment in the same way. While one child may recover quickly, another may experience lasting emotional or psychological harm. Research has shown that a child's response depends on many factors, including their personality, previous experiences, the relationship they have with the adult administering the punishment, and the circumstances in which it occurs. Because educators often have only limited knowledge of a student's personal background, they cannot reliably predict how a child will be affected. Even experienced school leaders have acknowledged these difficulties. Former principals have described how decisions about paddling had to be made quickly, often based on incomplete information. In cases where a student appeared especially anxious or there was uncertainty about the situation, alternative disciplinary methods were considered more appropriate. However, relying on individual judgment created inconsistencies and left significant room for error. Another reason corporal punishment fell out of favour was the difficulty of ensuring that it was administered solely for disciplinary purposes. Most teachers viewed physical punishment as an unpleasant responsibility, but there has always been concern that some individuals might derive personal satisfaction from inflicting it. While such cases were likely rare, the possibility that a person with inappropriate motives could be placed in a position of authority raised serious safeguarding concerns. Because it is impossible to identify these individuals in advance, the risk itself became an argument against retaining the practice. Supporters of corporal punishment often argued that, when used moderately, transparently, and with parental approval, it could be an effective disciplinary tool. They believed decisions should be made at the local level and that parents should always have the right to refuse physical punishment for their children. Strict record-keeping, clear oversight, and standards similar to those governing parental discipline were also seen as essential safeguards. However, these safeguards did not eliminate the broader problems. Whenever corporal punishment resulted in visible injuries or was perceived as excessive, complaints frequently followed. Such incidents often attracted widespread media attention, leading school districts to face public criticism, legal challenges, and the cost of litigation. As these cases accumulated, many districts concluded that the risks of continuing the practice outweighed any perceived benefits. Changing social attitudes also played a significant role. Over time, society increasingly viewed the use of physical force against children as unacceptable. As alternative forms of discipline became more widely accepted, public opinion shifted toward protecting children from physical punishment. This gradual change in values made the continued use of corporal punishment increasingly difficult to justify. For many people, the issue is ultimately a moral one. They believe that adults should not rely on physical pain to secure obedience from children, who are among the most vulnerable members of society. From this perspective, discipline should be based on guidance, communication, and appropriate consequences, rather than the use of physical force. Taken together, these practical, psychological, legal, and ethical considerations explain why corporal punishment has been abolished in most schools. The decision was not based on a single argument, but on the growing recognition that safer, fairer, and more effective methods of discipline are available.